everything was great. Then the first exhibition game we played was against the New York Rangers, and I stepped on
Bernie Parent created a specific kind of silence every time he stepped into the crease. Opponents felt it immediately. Intimidation came not from noise, but from the way he held his ground. Quiet confidence shaped every movement. Total control defined the way he tracked pucks and closed space. Shooters who normally attacked without hesitation suddenly second-guessed their choices. His record explains why. 2 Stanley Cups, 2 Conn Smythe trophies, and 2 Vezina wins confirmed his dominance during the stretch from 1973 to 1975. Those seasons remain a benchmark for any Canadian goaltender hoping to measure greatness. He delivered consistency at a level few could match and did it while anchoring a team known across the league for its heavy and punishing style. The contrast made him even more compelling. He carried a calm personality inside a lineup built on aggression. While the Flyers crashed, battled, and pushed opponents to the edge, the man in their net played with patience and sharp focus. Few fans know he nearly walked away from hockey early in his career due to mental strain. The decision to stay changed everything. His return to form transformed Philadelphia into a contender and gave the franchise a foundation it trusted completely. The coaching staff designed systems around his reliability. Teammates played with the assurance that their final line of defense would not break. One question remains: which 5 opponents challenged him in ways he never forgot? Bernie Parent grew out of the classic Canadian goaltending mold. He spent his early years on outdoor rinks where cold mornings built discipline and long practices shaped instincts. His first NHL steps were uneven. Boston offered opportunity but not stability. Philadelphia gave him a home, yet early inconsistency pushed him toward doubt. The pressure of the position weighed on him so heavily that he once considered leaving the game entirely. That moment became a turning point. A temporary move to the WHA helped him reset. The return to Philadelphia that followed marked the beginning of his true rise. He sharpened his positioning, he trusted his reads more than his reactions. He handled traffic with the steadiness that eventually defined his reputation. Coaches noticed the change right away, teammates followed. His style became the calm inside the chaos that surrounded the Flyers during their most intense years. By the mid-1970s, he established himself as the foundation of the franchise. The Flyers leaned on his reliability to build a defensive identity that fit every night of their demanding schedule. His influence stretched far beyond saves. It shaped the confidence of an entire room. Inside the 5 names that tested him lies one rivalry he never forgot. Number 5, Ken Dryden. Ken Dryden represented a standard that every goaltender of the 70s understood. His size, his patience, and his strong positional play created a matchup that demanded full focus from Bernie Parent. Montreal and Philadelphia lived in different hockey worlds. One side relied on elegance and structured skill, while the other leaned into pressure and physical intensity. Each meeting between the 2 clubs delivered a clash of identity and a test of nerve for both goalies at opposite ends of the ice. Dryden rarely showed emotion. His calm presence mirrored Parent's approach, but expressed itself in a taller and more imposing frame. The Canadians trusted him to erase mistakes and start transitions with smooth control. When the Flyers arrived in Montreal, they knew Dryden would not crack easily. Parent watched him from across the rink and recognized that beating the Canadians required breaking through a disciplined system backed by a composed goaltender who understood angles as well as anyone in the league. One of the matchups that stayed with Parent came during a regular season battle in the mid-70s. Philadelphia brought heavy forechecking and traffic to the crease. Montreal answered with precise zone entries that forced Parent to stay sharp on every pass. Dryden handled the Flyers' rushes with a confidence that matched the way Parent dealt with the Canadian shooting lanes. Every save on one end seemed to spark pressure at the other. The entire night felt like a quiet duel between 2 goalies reading the ice faster than the skaters in front of them. Parent respected Dryden for more than his technique. He respected the mental strength required to maintain composure in a market where every detail mattered. Montreal demanded excellence, and Dryden delivered it in ways that shaped the era. Facing him pushed Parent to elevate his own preparation. It forced him to refine his stance and sharpen his ability to track plays through moving screens. Dryden showed him that great goaltending was built on control, not chaos. Their rivalry never carried hostility. It carried weight. Each man understood that the other represented a different path to the same result. Their battles were less about anger and more about proving that they could outperform one another when the game tightened. Parent remembered Dryden because the challenge felt different. Dryden tested the mind before testing the body. Dryden created matchups that stayed in memory long after the horn sounded. That is why Ken Dryden stands at number 5 on the list. He was not the loudest rival, but he was one of the few who demanded Parent's absolute best every time they met. Number 4, Guy Lafleur. Guy Lafleur carried an aura that forced every goaltender to prepare differently. His stride looked effortless, but his pace created instant separation. His blade carved through the neutral zone with a rhythm that signaled danger long before the puck reached the offensive blue line. Bernie Parent understood that no shift against Montreal felt safe when Lafleur stepped over the boards. The Canadian star forward owned a release that arrived faster than expected and landed in spots many shooters could not find. The Flyers built their identity on pressure, yet even they adjusted when Lafleur gained speed. Parent tracked him with extra care. He watched shoulders, hips, and stick angle because the shot could come at any second. The challenge lay not only in stopping the puck, but in anticipating a mind that processed the game at high speed. Lafleur forced Parent to stay lower in his stance and to trust his positional instincts in ways few players demanded. One of the clearest memories Parent held came from a game where Lafleur cut through two defenders and fired a quick wrist shot from the top of the circle. Parent reacted with perfect timing, yet the puck beat him cleanly under the bar. The building erupted. The Flyers bench fell silent for a moment before regrouping. Parent later admitted that the goal reminded him that Lafleur's skill belonged to a different level. It was the type of play that required a goalie to shake off frustration and reset by the next shift. Lafleur changed how teams planned their nights. Defenders angled him toward the boards, yet he still found ways to slip through small gaps. Every rush forced Parent to read the ice through layers of screens. The Canadiens' winger moved with a confidence that reflected Montreal's dynasty years. His presence alone stretched defensive structures and added pressure to every goaltending decision. The respect between the two men grew with each meeting. Parent recognized that Lafleur's scoring ability pushed him to refine technical details. He sharpened his glove positioning. He tightened his blocker movements. He studied releases more closely. The adjustments turned into habits that stayed with him long after the Flyers' championship run. Lafleur belongs on this list not because of animosity, but because of impact. He challenged Parent in ways that measured pure skill against pure preparation. Few players forced him to evolve as directly as Lafleur did. The rivalry shaped important parts of his game and left memories that never faded. Number 3. Phil Esposito. Phil Esposito created a different kind of pressure for any goaltender. He did not rely on speed or flashy plays, he relied on presence. He stationed himself near the crease, battled for inside positioning, and used his frame to claim every rebound that dropped within reach. Bernie Parent faced him many times and understood that every shift against Boston became a physical and mental grind the moment Esposito reached the front of the net. Esposito excelled at forcing goalies into uncomfortable situations. He screened sightlines with perfect timing. He redirected shots with subtle stick angles that changed pucks by inches. He pounced on loose rebounds before defenders could respond. Parent recognized that one mistake near the paint could shift the entire flow of a game. The Bruins played through Esposito because he turned chaos into scoring chances with a consistency that frustrated even the most composed goaltenders. One of the nights that stayed with Parent came during an intense matchup in Boston Garden. The Bruins fed pucks toward the net from every angle. Parent fought through heavy traffic, bodies crashing around him and sticks whacking for loose space. Esposito remained planted near the crease with a purpose that never faded. He tipped one shot off the post. He grabbed another rebound and forced Parent to sprawl for a desperate blocker save. The Flyers held on, but the constant pressure left a mark. Parent remembered that game as one of the purest tests of endurance he had experienced. Esposito created challenges that extended beyond technique. He demanded focus on every second of a shift. Parent had to read deflections, track pucks through bodies, and predict where the next scramble would form. The Bruins star forced him to increase physical resilience at a time when crease battles carried a level of intensity that modern hockey rarely matches. Every shift turned into a confrontation. Every whistle brought another set of shoves. Parent learned to anchor himself with stronger balance and sharper anticipation to survive those moments. Respect grew from the difficulty of the matchup. Parent recognized that Esposito did not rely on luck. He built his success on awareness and timing. He mastered the art of forcing goalies into rush decisions. Parent viewed him as one of the few forwards who could bend defensive structures simply by showing up in the right spot with the right posture. Esposito stands at number 3 because of the relentless nature of the rivalry. Parent remembered him not out of anger but out of recognition. The battles near the crease became lessons in toughness and precision. Those nights demanded the best of him and left impressions he carried long after the games ended. Number 2, Bobby Clarke. Bobby Clarke challenged Bernie Parent in ways no opposing forward ever could because their battles came long before the puck dropped in real games. Clarke was the emotional core of the Flyers and the standard that shaped their practice intensity. Every session felt like a test. Every drill forced Parent to react faster, think sharper, and improve under pressure that sometimes exceeded anything he faced during regular season nights. The unique part of this rivalry was simple. It took place inside the same locker room. Clarke understood that Parent represented the backbone of the franchise. He also understood that sharpening a goalie required uncomfortable moments. He drove plays straight into the crease during scrimmages. He fired pucks through screens set inches from Parent's pads. He created rushes where the release came from, awkward angles with little warning. The intention was not hostility, it was preparation. The Flyers needed a goalie who could withstand the brutal pace of their system, and Clarke made sure Parent experienced that pace every day. One of the confrontations Parent remembered most came during a mid-season practice when the team struggled with consistency. Clarke refused to let standards slip. He tore through the neutral zone, cut toward the net, and snapped a shot high glove side. Parent caught it cleanly, but Clarke circled back, grabbed another puck, and attacked again with even more speed. The drill continued until both men pushed their limits. Teammates watched as two leaders raised the bar for the entire room. It was not anger that fueled those moments. It was a shared demand for excellence. Clarke's style placed massive strain on goalies. He thrived in dirty areas, created screens, tipped pucks, and chased rebounds with relentless commitment. Even in practice, he played at a level that forced Parent to stay locked in. Their internal rivalry made Parent stronger mentally and physically. It taught him to battle through traffic and maintain discipline when plays broke down in front of him. Respect between the two never wavered. Clarke admired Parent's calm presence. Parent appreciated Clarke's fire and his ability to lift the team. The push and pull between their personalities formed the heartbeat of the Flyers' identity. Their shared drive transformed Philadelphia into a contender and laid the foundation for the championships that followed. Clarke stands at number 2 because no opponent demanded more from Parent on a daily basis. The challenges came not from animosity, but from expectation. Clarke pushed him to evolve into the goalie who carried the Flyers through their greatest years. Parent never forgot those practice wars because they shaped the champion he became. Number 1. Bobby Orr. Bobby Orr confronted goaltenders with a challenge no one else in the league could replicate. His speed broke defensive structures. His edges sliced through pressure with a confidence that belonged to a different generation of skill. His skating alone created problems, but his ability to shift from rush to release in one motion forced Bernie Parent to solve plays at full pace. Facing Orr felt like trying to read a moving storm. The angle changed with every stride, and the shot could arrive from any point on the ice. Orr controlled games in ways that demanded constant adjustments. Parent could not rely solely on positioning. He needed anticipation strong enough to match a player who thought the game faster than his opponents. Orr initiated rushes from behind his own net, then exploded into the offensive zone with a tempo that forced goalies to track him through layers of traffic. Parent understood that even a perfect read did not guarantee a save. Orr disguised releases, altered shooting points, and used screens with precision. One of the moments that stayed with Parent came from a sequence in the mid-70s when Orr gathered the puck near the boards, accelerated through two defenders, and fired a quick shot from inside the circle. Parent reacted immediately, yet the puck found a space no one else could have located. The crowd erupted, and Parent knew he had just witnessed a play built on instincts that could not be taught. That goal became a reminder of the gap Orr created between himself and even the elite players of his era. The Bruins relied on Orr to dictate tempo. His presence forced teams to collapse defensively, which left goalies exposed to cross-ice plays and rebound chaos. Parent faced nights where Orr controlled shifts for minutes at a time. The constant movement tested his conditioning and mental discipline. He needed to read developing plays long before they fully formed because 1 second of hesitation meant trouble. Orr earned respect from Parent not only through skill but through consistency. Every game demanded the same level of alertness. Every rush carried the threat of a highlight moment. Parent recognized that Orr changed the expectations for goaltenders. To stop him required a blend of reflexes, structure, and patience that had to be rebuilt every night. Bobby Orr belongs at number 1 because no player tested Parent as thoroughly. The rivalry pushed Parent toward the limits of his ability and created memories that endured long after their careers ended. Bernie Parent built his reputation through calm execution, but the rivals he faced shaped the strength behind that composure. Each of the 5 names on his list carried a different challenge. Ken Dryden forced him to measure himself against another master of control. Guy Lafleur pushed him to sharpen details and face pure offensive talent at full speed. Phil Esposito dragged him into battles that tested his resolve in the tightest areas of the crease. Bobby Clarke turned practice into a proving ground that forged the intensity he carried into games. Bobby Orr presented the ultimate test with a level of creativity and pace that demanded perfection on every shift. These players influenced Parent far beyond individual moments. They shaped his approach to preparation. They influenced his understanding of angles and timing. They pushed him to remain composed when pressure reached its highest point. They taught him that elite goaltending required more than saves. It required patience, anticipation, and the mental strength to hold firm when games tilted in unpredictable ways. Parent's legacy continues to echo through conversations about the greatest Canadian goaltenders. His calm posture, steady glove, and strong angles remain examples for younger goalies studying the history of the position. The memories of the battles he survived help define the mythology surrounding his career. Hockey fans who watched those nights remember the intensity that shaped him. Now one question remains. Which rival do you believe left the deepest mark on Bernie Parent?